You know, in an age full of these space-age non-stick coatings, it's kind of funny that one of the simplest materials is making this huge comeback in our kitchens. Yep, I'm talking about glass, that clear, reliable workhorse that might just be the secret to cleaner, totally non-toxic cooking. So, let's get into it.
It's a question a lot of us have started asking, right? With all the talk about chemicals and plastics and some of those non-stick pans, it's only natural to wonder, what is my food actually touching when I cook it?
And that brings us to the hero of our story today, glass. Now, this isn't just for windows or drinking glasses. When it comes to cookware, glass is praised for being one of the purest, safest, and most chemical-free options out there. And there's some really solid reasons for that, which we're about to dive into.
Okay, so first things first. The glass in your baking dish is not the same as the glass in your window. Not even close. Modern glass cookware is actually a specially engineered material, designed to handle all the stress of a busy kitchen. So let's break down the main types you're going to find.
First up, you've got borosilicate glass. The secret sauce here is something called boron trioxide. This little addition gives the glass an incredible resistance to thermal shock. That's just the sciencey term for when something cracks because of a sudden temperature change. It's why you see this stuff in science labs and a lot of high-end European cookware. It's tough.
Then we have tempered soda-lime glass. This is probably the most common type you'll find here in the US these days. It goes through this intense process of being heated way up and then cooled down super fast. What that does is make it much, much stronger against physical impact, you know, like an accidental drop on the kitchen floor.
And then there's the specialist of the group, glass ceramic, also known as pyroceram. This stuff is just amazing. It was actually developed for rocket nose cones, which tells you something. It can handle temperatures up to 850 degrees Celsius. This is the magic material that makes some glass cookware safe to use directly on the stovetop. It's a total game changer.
So if you're trying to remember the difference, here's the key takeaway. It's really a trade-off. Borosilicate is your champion against sudden temperature changes. Tempered soda lime, on the other hand, is tougher if you drop it. And it's also really important to know how they break. Borosilicate can crack into big, sharp pieces, while tempered glass is designed to crumble into smaller, less sharp chunks, which is a pretty important safety feature.
All right, so let's move on and talk about the biggest benefit of glass. It's safety. What's the science that makes it such an incredible choice for non-toxic cooking?
This brings us to the single most important word when we're talking about glass cookware: inert. This is its superpower. As Glass Alliance Europe puts it right here, the material is chemically stable. That means it doesn't mess with your food. It doesn't add anything, and it doesn't take anything away. Your food just stays pure.
So what does being inert actually mean for you and your dinner? Well, first, it's non-reactive. You can cook acidic things like tomato sauce or a lemon chicken marinade, and you'll never get that weird metallic aftertaste. Second, it doesn't leach nasty chemicals. No BPA, no phthalates, no lead, nothing. And third, its surface is non-porous. That means the flavor from last night's garlic pasta won't show up in tonight's apple crumble. It's just fundamentally clean.
But hey, the benefits don't stop at just being non-toxic. Glass is also an incredibly practical and versatile tool in the kitchen. It has some really clear advantages over other materials. I mean, look at this workflow. It just perfectly illustrates the convenience. You can literally mix your ingredients, bake the dish, serve it right on the table, and then pop the leftovers into the fridge all on the exact same dish. It is the definition of a multitasker. Talk about saving you time and a whole lot of dishes.
So how does it stack up against metal? Well, you should think of them as different tools for different jobs. Metal is a conductor. It heats up fast, which is awesome for getting things brown and crispy. Glass, on the other hand, is an insulator. It heats up a bit slower, but it holds and distributes that heat incredibly evenly. This is just perfect for things like casseroles or baked mac and cheese where you want gentle, consistent cooking all the way through.
And let's not forget the most obvious advantage of all. You can see your food. You can check if the bottom of your pie crust is perfectly golden, or see if your lasagna is bubbling all the way to the center, all without ever opening the oven door and letting all that precious heat escape. It's such a simple but brilliant feature.
Of course, no material is perfect. And to use glass cookware safely for years and years, it is absolutely essential to understand its one major weakness and, just how to handle it with a little bit of care.
And yep, this is the #1 thing people worry about, the risk of the glass shattering because of a sudden temperature change. And look, it's a valid concern, but it's also something that's completely preventable once you know the rules. So to avoid that thermal shock, you just need to follow a few simple rules. Always, and I mean always, place a hot dish on a dry, heat-proof surface, like a dish towel, a cutting board, or a trivet.
never a wet or cold countertop. Let your dish cool down naturally before you even think about washing it. And here's a great pro tip. If a recipe was written for a metal pan, just reduce your oven temp by about 25 degrees Fahrenheit when you use glass. And here are the big don'ts. Never, ever use standard glass bakeware on a direct flame or under the broiler. And please, don't add cold stock to a sizzling hot dish. That's just asking for trouble. Avoid those extreme temperature swings, like going straight from the freezer into a hot oven. And finally, if a dish gets chipped or cracked, it's time to retire it. Those little chips are weak spots, and they make it much more likely to break.
So when you really balance it all out, its incredible safety, its versatility, its performance, against its one totally manageable weakness, glass really does stand out. It's pure, it's reliable, and it just lets the quality of your food shine. Maybe it really is time to make the clearer choice in your kitchen.